On this Tuesday night, it's a lonely one for Canada on the world stage as Middle Eastern countries fall in line behind Saudi Arabia. From NATO allies to the foreign students caught in the middle, why so few are willing to speak out against the kingdom. We ask, should Canada have seen this coming, and what should the government do now?
Also tonight, a dire warning from scientists why the Earth could become an irreversible hothouse.
And Buck Abir may be politically popular, but at what cost? This is The National.
A few short days ago, Canada-Saudi relations seemed as normal as they'd ever been, but today, call them abysmal. The kingdom continues to lash out at Canada for questioning its jailing of a prominent human rights activist. Ottawa is standing its ground.
We're going to stand with the values that we know are important to Canadians, and Saudi Arabia will take the decisions that they will take.
Finance Minister Bill Morneau today in political lockstep with Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland. Meanwhile, other Middle Eastern nations are publicly voicing their support for Saudi Arabia in this dispute. Jordan, Bahrain, the UAE, even the Palestinian Authority. Canada, for its part, did not get the same unequivocal support from its close ally today.
They're friends, they're partners, as is Canada as well. Both sides need to diplomatically resolve this together. We can't do it for them. They need to resolve it together.
So far, the most vulnerable people in all of this seem to be the thousands of Saudi students studying here in Canada. They're now in a bit of limbo after the Saudi government canceled their scholarships with plans to send them to other countries. Katie Nicholson looks at what they're going through.
Every day, Abdul Haq offers prayers to Allah, but today his thoughts are with his Saudi friends who won't be finishing their degrees in Canada.
Obviously, they will lose some time, money, all the time. Not all the courses that they were taking here, they'll be able to find in UK and the States, right?
Today, a steady stream of students at the University of Ottawa looking for answers, but no one wanted to talk. Perhaps not surprising, given their scholarships are on the line, and the chill, some say, has settled in. Take this ex-Saudi in Sherbrooke. He's not affected, but now fears for the safety of his family back home after he sent out a flurry of tweets critical of the Saudi government.
They just want political activists to remain silent, to be scared.
Universities are also paying a price. They charge foreign students tuition fees 4 times higher than their Canadian counterparts.
Overall, students in Canada who come from other countries contribute over $15 billion to the Canadian economy.
Universities are still trying to figure out what this will mean come September, but they know this will affect more than their bottom lines.
Saskatchewan is in the middle of the prairies of Canada, and we really appreciate diversity and inclusion, and I think this is going to leave a tremendous cultural hole in our university.
Students and schools aren't the only ones caught in the middle. Saudi Arabia's national airline canceled its flights to Canada starting next week. Abdul Haq's mother was supposed to fly to Canada the day the ban kicks in.
So it was at 12:45 on Monday, so 45 minutes after the ban actually comes into effect. So
and Haq isn't afraid to say what many others think.
Canada just asking for some human rights activists to be released, and on the other hand, the reaction from the Saudi government was just absurd.
Absurd to Abdul Haq, but a move that has serious consequences. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
So this snarling from Saudi Arabia may feel a little random and peculiar, but it's not. The kingdom has a habit of targeting some countries for so-called foreign meddling, but interestingly, not the major powers, rather mid-level powers that the Saudis know they have some leverage over, and it likes to send this message: keep quiet or else. That's what happened to Sweden in 2015. The kingdom recalled its ambassador, then said it would no longer issue or renew business visas to Swedish citizens, a lever it could still pull with Canada, by the way. So what sparked that rage? Well, this should sound familiar. Sweden's foreign minister, Margot Wallström, who promised a feminist platform, had some harsh words for Saudi Arabia. She criticized its treatment of Raif Badawi. And then she spoke out against the kingdom's move to block her from delivering a speech on women's rights at the Arab League. Then she pulled an arms deal. Sweden's nervous business community published a statement begging the government to just maintain good relations with the kingdom.
But it feels like you're rowing back now, or that you're worried about.
Later, in an interview with the BBC, Sweden's foreign minister had clearly softened her tone.
And they know very well what we think about democracy and human rights. But we also need to have diplomatic and political and economic ties.
Now that Canada is in the kingdom's bad books, not a word from Sweden in support. We asked for a statement, didn't get one.
Well, it's not just Sweden. Hardly any Western country really has taken the side of Canada.
Europe knows well the icy winds that can blow from the Saudi desert. Last November, Germany's foreign minister criticized Saudi Arabia. So the kingdom pulled its ambassador, ordered that no new contracts would be issued to Germany.
Most of the Western nations now would like to give the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia a chance. They support his reformist agenda.
There is a new foreign minister in Germany, currently a silent one, but the former minister stepped gingerly into the fray again today, writing, "Saudi Arabia also tried to put me under pressure. I criticized the events surrounding the temporary resignation of the Lebanese prime minister. They withdrew their ambassador and withdrew orders from the German economy. Nevertheless, no blackmail on human rights." That, Canada so far is as publicly supportive as anyone seems willing to get. Okay, so clearly the Saudis like to play hardball and they're not above economic blackmail, but what else could Canada be in for if this game of diplomatic chicken goes on? For more on where this could be going, let's bring in Thomas Junot, Assistant Professor of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa. Thanks for joining us. What are you on the lookout for from Saudi Arabia now?
Well, Saudi Arabia has already announced a series of very harsh measures against Canada. We've seen the students being pulled out. Today we've seen an announcement that they will not accept Canadian wheat. The next step that I'm looking for is the famous light armored vehicle deal for $15 billion. As of right now, we don't know if that is surviving or not.
Well, that's the deal that everyone clearly talks about, but it seems that there's likely a lot more at stake for Canada, no?
There clearly is a lot more at stake, but by now, Saudi Arabia has used a lot of the tools that it has to pressure Canada. There is not a lot of trade between the two countries. Students have been pulled out. There's not that much left, besides perhaps maybe closing the embassies right now. That's maybe another step to watch for.
Or maybe holding back some visas or not issuing new ones, maybe?
That's another possibility. There's not that much, exchange between the two countries, and keeping in mind that the visa issue was already a point of tension between the two countries. Saudi Arabia was charging for Canadian visas, considering that Canada took too much time. So that could be another step. But compared to other countries like Iran, for example, that's maybe a bit less of an issue because there's fewer members of the diaspora.
So I guess the big question for a lot of people now is what is Canada supposed to do in this moment? Sort of zip it, stay quiet, and just sit on its anger?
Well, for now, I find that the government's approach has probably been the least bad option. And there's nothing that it can do right now that would be a great approach. But they've played it very low profile. Besides a speech by Minister Freeland yesterday where she said that we would continue standing for human rights, the government has not said what it will specifically do. It has not said whether it wants the LAV deal to survive. It has not said whether it will keep the embassy in Riyadh open and so on. And I think at this point, because Saudi Arabia is so reckless, it is so enraged at this point, for Ottawa, the only reasonable, mature thing to do is to, at least for a couple of days, to sit back and hope for a de-escalation.
Okay, Thomas Junot, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. In the grief and anguish after the Danforth shooting, the question was, where are the guns coming from? We find out the government doesn't know for sure.
And we want to drill down on two stories with repercussions for your wallet. Ahead, Aeroplan scrambles to fill the gap left by their breakup with Air Canada. What do their new deals mean for your points?
But first, Ontario is officially bringing back Buck a Beer. And Premier Doug Ford wants the new price point in effect before the Labor Day long weekend. But as David Common found, for some, Ford's plan for cheaper suds is, well, yes, falling flat.
The thing about cheap beer in Ontario is brewers could actually be selling it for a lot less right now, and they aren't. The minimum price for beer, even before Doug Ford's announcement, was $1.25. But the cheapest beer we could find right here is $1.40. So if brewers aren't selling for the minimum price now and they aren't being forced to change, what is the likelihood they're going to? Looking at social media, not a lot of excitement from brewers about lowering their prices.
Great Lakes Brewery decided right away, it wasn't even a debate, not to participate in the Buck a Beer program, or challenge, as the Premier said, based on the fact that we value our brands. We've worked hard over the 31 years to get our brands out to the public at a reasonable, fair price, and we won't compromise on quality.
Hop down to Quebec, mind you, and there are some beer makers who are selling for about $1 a beer. But that's more a question of distribution. You can buy it grocery and corner stores. Can't do that in Ontario, at least not yet. Doug Ford has suggested that too may change. But until it does, how do you push brewers to basically adopt a political pricing policy?
Nobody is being forced to lower their prices, and there'll be no subsidies or tax handouts.
Well, that is debatable, because brewers that hop on board with Buck a Beer could get certain perks, like product placement and free advertising with Ontario's liquor stores. Perks that would normally cost money that would normally go to provincial coffers. Put your product, for instance, on one of these end caps, the LCBO charges $215 a store. Put it in every store, that's $129,000 a month, and there are at least a dozen end caps in each and every store. So yes, this will cost the government money, but every political initiative does, and the message from Doug Ford, he's making sure money that's in the pockets of beer drinkers across this province stays there. As for the brewers, well, we reached out to the people behind the cheapest bottle that we could find today. They said no plans to change the price right now.
Probably drank that later. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario issued a statement late tonight saying it looks forward to working with brewers who meet the Premier's Buck a Beer Challenge, and that would include, quote, promotional opportunities such as in-store displays, as David talked about, their limited time offers and advertising. These are normal business expenses for our stores, and no cost will be incurred to either LCBO consumers or Ontario taxpayers. So the idea for Buck a Beer isn't really a new one. It was available in this province in Ontario until about a decade ago.
They pick up a value lager, they'll try a case, they say, gee, it tastes great. Why would I want to pay $35.50 when I can pay $23.70?
Back in 2002, the Buck a Beer concept got its start in Hamilton when management was looking for a way to revive Lakeport Brewery. The strategy, sell 24 beers for just under $24 plus deposit.
We're on the winning side in the beer wars. I think that we are the pioneer of the value category.
At the time, the company had just 1% of the market share in Ontario. By 2006, that jumped to 11%, and 2 Lakeport beers were among the top 10 selling beers in Ontario. But in 2008, the provincial Liberal government quietly raised the minimum price for a bottle by a quarter. When questioned about the move, the government cited its social responsibility mandate, saying the price hike would result in people drinking less. So where's the cheapest beer in Canada now? That'd be in BC and Quebec, where you can get a 6-pack for $6.99.
People can be pretty passionate about their rewards programs. After all, who doesn't like getting something at a huge discount? But when it comes to Aeroplan, what 5 million Canadians signed up for may not be what they get. Its deal with Air Canada will end in 2 years, so today the program's parent company, Aimia, announced 2 new airline partnerships. Briar Stewart now on what's next for Aeroplan and its members.
Long before checking in and dropping off your bag at the airport, the focus for travelers is on finding a good flight. And it's a real win if you can get it on reward miles.
We just used it down to London, Ontario last month, in June, and it worked out fine.
It's not challenging to use my points, but I'm going to have to switch my Visa card.
Because her Visa is an Aeroplan card, and it appears that in a couple of years, she may no longer be able to use those miles for the flights she typically books. Air Canada previously announced that it was going to create its own reward program and sever ties with Aeroplan in 2020. That's created a lot of uncertainty for Aeroplan, and it's now partnering with new airlines.
What is the beginning of a new Aeroplan all about?
The short answer, it's a work in progress. Last week, Aimia, the company which owns Aeroplan, announced it's partnered with Toronto-based Porter Airlines. The news came just one day after it rejected a takeover bid made by Air Canada, together with TD, CIBC and Visa. Then today, Aimia announced it struck more deals with Air Transat and Flair Airlines. The discount carrier only has 7 aircraft, but plans to purchase 13 more in the next 2 years. Officials with the company believe the Aeroplan arrangement is good for their growth and for consumers.
With a number of airlines playing in the same program, your opportunities expand and you're not just sitting on one particular carrier. And so as a result, you have the opportunity for a number of different options.
And Aeroplan could have more partners because Aimia is in talks with Oneworld, an airline alliance whose members include British Airways and Cathay Pacific.
I'm quite certain we haven't heard the end of announcements in terms of who may be part of that coalition. The stronger the coalition, the more likely Aeroplan members are going to want to stay engaged and keep earning and redeeming with them.
Instead of trading in their cards for a new loyalty program. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
So what does all this wheeling and dealing for your Aeroplan points mean for you? We asked a travel blogger who knows a lot about gaining rewards and cashing them in.
Yes, so the direct answer would that be absolutely you must. Although lots of updates are coming through, all these updates don't become active until July 2020. And again, we don't know what's going to change between now and then. So the best idea and advice right now would be to use up whatever you've accumulated before June 2020. That's the million-dollar question. If Aeroplan doesn't survive, if it gets taken over, say by Air Canada's bid, if they're always open to another bid from a different company, let's say Air Canada takes them over, then it becomes slightly easier because they will acquisition all the points accumulated by its membership, and your points will then transfer over to whichever company takes the bid. But if it doesn't survive, then chances are, or there's no takeover, then chances are those miles could go to waste. And that's why it's always a good idea to use up your accumulated miles as soon as possible.
We're keeping track of several other developing stories tonight. One of them, a surprising move by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. He said today he's thinking about taking the electric car company private. Musk offered few details in a tweet, but said that he'd lined up financing to buy back all of Tesla's stock from shareholders. No final decision has been made, but Musk said he thinks it's the best path forward as it would free the company from stock market pressure. Following that announcement, Tesla shares closed up 11%. We are keeping an eye this hour on the state of Ohio, where votes are being counted in a high-stakes special election. Up for grabs is a House seat that for more than 3 decades has gone Republican, but the Democrats do have a shot. And right now, with 59% of the precincts reporting, their candidate is up by 1.9 percentage points. The race is being seen as a test of Donald Trump's impact as president ahead of the fall midterms. And another dramatic day at the trial of President Donald Trump's former campaign chair, Paul Manafort. Under cross-examination, former business associate Rick Gates admitted that he embezzled money and carried on an extramarital affair. The defense team's strategy is to try to undercut Gates' credibility and to prove that he, not Manafort, was responsible for all of the wrongdoing.
Still ahead on The National, why a little town in Newfoundland has become a destination for parents of children who have autism.
Plus, how Alberta helped bring species of endangered falcons back from the brink.
And meet the young girl who's using her 3D printed hand to hurl out the first pitch in every Major League stadium. Tonight, she hit Toronto in our moment.
You know, we put it out there and it happened.
My mom came up with the idea.
What did you think when she told you?
I said, yes!
When we fly and when we buy, we expect rewards. Call them points or miles. Worldwide, consumers have racked up an estimated 8 trillion, enough to make 300 million trips around the world.
I think a recent Economist article suggested it may be the second largest currency in the world after the US dollar is in fact loyalty points or miles.
Rob McLean used to run Canadian Airlines' frequent flyer program. Now he's head of points.com, where consumers can exchange their points in one program for another.
Now when you're shopping for gas at Esso, you may be able to convert those Esso extra points into Aeroplan miles.
Attractive for consumers with bulging banks of points. And according to Webflyer, which tracks points worldwide, they are being earned 4 times faster than they're being redeemed. Potential problem? Even if no more were awarded, it would take 23 years to use them up.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm afraid that if I don't use them, I'm going to lose them.
Not in Canada, according to Aeroplan.
You need exactly 25,000 points.
The country's largest frequent flyer program with 6 million members.
If I stopped the program today, it would take about 2 years for all of the points on average in people's accounts to be redeemed.
But the program won't stop, says Deschênes, because Aeroplan's partnerships with credit card companies and hotels make Air Canada hundreds of millions in revenues. But the looming prospect isn't lost.
If your liabilities of points are much bigger than your ability to redeem, then you're going to end up with a lot of unhappy customers.
And I know a lot of people that have trouble redeeming them because there's no seats available.
This business analyst says Air Canada tried to tighten up award levels and seats post-September 11th.
Last month's mass shooting in Toronto has spurred calls over a ban on handgun sales in the city. The idea is based on the premise that about half the guns used in crime were bought legally in Canada, but where does that figure come from? As Evan Dyer discovered, no one in government seems to know for sure, and there appears to be little effort to find out.
When we look at our research, it's clear to us that 50% of the firearms that are used for crimes are domestic.
Police still haven't revealed the origin of the gun used in the Danforth shooting, but the Trudeau government and some police forces have said they're seeing more guns sourced in Canada. Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale says thefts of legal guns are on the rise.
Mayor Greg Dion of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, who is concerned that insufficient commercial storage rules allowed a thief in that city to snip one cable and steal 24 handguns from a local gun shop.
Statistics do back up the idea that police are filing more charges of break and enter to steal firearms. But when it comes to national statistics on how many Canadian handguns are being used in crime, there aren't any. Currently, there is no national repository for this type of information in Canada, the RCMP told CBC.
Police often are short-staffed and have limited resources. They're working on solving a murder investigation. Focusing on tracing the source of the firearm may or may not be viewed as critical to prosecuting that particular crime. And so typically, tracing firearms has not been a top priority of police agencies across the country.
Local numbers are available in some places. For example, Ottawa police told CBC that 77% of handguns seized in Ontario were traced to smuggling from the U.S.
But even where statistics exist, the definitions used by law enforcement can make it hard to understand what's really going on. For example, the RCMP count as a crime gun any gun that's abandoned or found or illegally acquired or modified. And Statistics Canada counts as a firearm-related violent offence any crime that's committed in a place where a gun is present, regardless of whether the gun is actually used in that crime.
And so, Evan, let's go back to that 50% number that the police chief in Toronto cited in the wake of all of the street shootings we've seen.
I think there's a question about the usefulness of the numbers, because definitions like the crime gun definition tend to mix up violent criminals who are using guns to harm people with lawful owners who commit offenses like improper storage or have expired licenses and so on, and can even capture guns that belong to lawful owners who died and then whose guns are handed in by someone else. So gun rights advocates say that they tend to inflate the impression of the role of Canadian guns in crime.
I would like to see the Minister of Public Safety order the RCMP to properly trace all these firearms that are being categorized as crime guns, so that we know which ones are coming from licensed firearms owners and which ones are coming from the United States or China or Poland or any other country that's smuggling guns into Canada.
So while governments are debating changes to Canada's gun laws, there's really a lack of solid data, Ian, for them to go on, and there's no national effort underway to collect any.
All right, Evan, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Next on The National, a dire new warning from scientists over global warming, why Earth's warming process might be unstoppable.
And this as California battles the largest wildfire in state history.
What can you say? It makes you sick to your stomach. Everything they've worked for all their life gone in a heartbeat.
What's up, everyone? My name is Leonard Monkman. Today we're in Winnipeg's North End. It's the neighborhood that I grew up in. We're going to take you to a barber shop that's owned by an Indigenous woman on Selkirk Avenue.
Hi, my name is Skeeter. Welcome to my barber shop.
Oh, the North End means a lot to me because this is where all my friends and family live, and it's a beautiful part of the city.
What do you like about living in the North End, Peter?
Feels like home.
Feels like home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here without my community if the people didn't come to support the shop. I wouldn't make it here.
What are some things that you like about the North End since you've been living here?
I guess, you know, my street, Alfred, it's fairly quiet. Unfortunately, there was that shooting of the young guy last, what, 6-8 months ago or something like that. Yeah. Unfortunate. But all in all, you know, actually I've been getting to know my neighbors a little bit more. My neighbor gave my little girl the tricycle that she has,
And they recommended you to come here?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Yeah, they just said, I said, where's a good place to get a haircut? She ran back inside and Mom told her and said, come here, they're pretty good, so.
It's your first time here?
Yeah, they gave me directions like, you know, like native way.
This is how.
That's it, eh?
What made you start up a business in the North End?
Probably because of the, like, you know, there's a lot of Aboriginal people around here. And I like working with my people. They like that the language can be spoken. Because a lot of times, a lot of people will sit here and speak the language and they like that. But you know what?
I like him.
Yeah. Do you like the cat? Do you remember shopping when you were a kid on Selkirk Avenue?
Yeah. Red apple and all that, yeah.
Tell us a story about shopping on Selkirk.
Skipping school to go shopping, my mom, that's story.
Things that you see that might give you hope about this community.
Well, maybe the school's opening up in the area. And there's some businesses that are starting to open up.
For maybe about 10 years I lived in the North End here and never had any problems, you know.
How would you describe the people in the North End?
It varies, you know. There's some good and some bad, right? You know. It all depends. It's usually the younger people that get influenced by the bad elements of people. They get led in the wrong direction right off the bat before they even get a chance to choose what they want to be. Yeah, they don't get free haircuts, I think. Big one.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys, I'll be back.
Bye.
Well, we just wanted to say thank you for letting us join you today. Hopefully it wasn't too much, but
thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
For choosing us.
Okay, well, we'll see you later.
Okay, we'll see you again, thanks.
Is the cat's not gonna run away?
No.
2018 is proving to be a summer of extremes. Much of the planet, from Japan to Portugal to Montreal, is suffering through heat waves and aggressive wildfires as far north as the Arctic Circle have ripped through communities. Scientists will admit you can't point to a single event as evidence of climate change, but you can sure look at trends. 17 of the 18 hottest years on record have all occurred since 2001, with the exception of 1998. A new report says if global average temperatures hit 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels, it might trigger changes it could be impossible to stop, even if we cut greenhouse gases. All of this as wildfires are burning out of control in parts of North America. Let's start in California. Close to 20 are burning across the state and incinerating pretty much anything in their path, including the insatiable Mendocino Complex fire. It's the largest in the state's history, and as Kim Brunhaber explains, the state's rugged terrain and searing heat are working against firefighters.
A fire so big, even the sky looks like it's burning. Almost 2,500 square kilometers torched by a pair of nearby fires that have effectively merged into a record-setting monster. It began 2 weeks ago and just keeps burning. Many here in Lake County watched, knowing for days that the flames were slowly, inexorably creeping towards them.
When it was coming from both sides, I started crying, but I was still doing my thing as I was crying, going, God, please no.
The record-setting fire has drawn a record number of firefighters, more than 14,000 of them. Still, the fire has been leaping barriers, both natural and man-made.
This fire was dictating where it went. The fire was in command, and these folks were just reacting. They were not in charge of the fire, just the opposite of what we used to see in the old days.
Making the problem worse, hot weather and an inaccessible landscape.
It's really deep terrain in there, okay? So we're not able to put ground personnel in some of those areas.
The other problem, at least according to President Trump, is a lack of water. The fires were, he tweeted Monday, made so much worse by the bad environmental laws which aren't allowing massive amounts of readily available water to be properly utilized. Those actually battling the flames disagree.
We do have lots of water, yes.
According to CAL FIRE, the real problem is climate change. Of the 5 largest wildfires in state history, 4 have occurred since 2012. The task now? To keep the fire in the hills and forests to the north and stop it from nibbling into residential areas to the south. Fire officials say they're slowly making progress, but say they expect the fire to burn for the rest of August. So many who live in the fire's path, who decided not to evacuate, tonight sleep with their shoes by their bed. Kim Brunhaber, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, the hot, dry weather is feeding wildfires here in Canada, too. In Northern Ontario, firefighters are battling more than 120 active fires. A fifth of them are considered out of control, including the largest, known as Parry Sound 33. It now spans about 113 square kilometers. More than 460 fires are also burning in British Columbia. All that smoke is taking a toll on air quality.
You really feel it too after a while. For a long ride, you start to feel it in your chest.
Fast-moving flames led to a state of emergency in the Nanaimo Lakes area on Vancouver Island. Residents on the fire's western flank have been ordered to leave. Environment Canada predicts the hot, dry weather plaguing BC won't ease up until Friday or Saturday. There were 100 heat warnings in effect across the country still today. And while 2016 is still considered the warmest summer on record, Dave Phillips with Environment Canada says this one could be one for the books.
If you look at it globally in the Northern Hemisphere, there's something about this summer that seems rather unusual. It's almost like a global heat wave that we are seeing across the world. We're seeing temperatures being broken in places that you just don't expect it. In Japan, in both Koreas, we're seeing it north of the Arctic Circle. Death Valley, California had the warmest temperature of any place on this planet in recorded history in July, with 4 days where the temperature was above 53.
Phillips says a couple decades from now, heat waves like the one we're seeing now won't even be considered extreme. They'll just be described as typical summer weather.
Changes in temperatures can affect wildlife, but that hasn't stopped one species from making a comeback. Meet the peregrine falcons, a bird previously on the brink of extinction. Now it's a whole different story, in part thanks to efforts of an Alberta man. Rafi Boudjikanian looks into how their successful resurgence has bred an industry.
Moxie is not the kind of bird you'll usually find eating out of a farmer's hand. Then again, there's hardly anything usual about Philip Treffry's farm. It's more of a flight school for peregrine falcons.
They are the best mannered and the highest performing raptor there is. They're renowned for tremendous speed, and they have a long history of working with people.
But that history's been rocky, too. In the 70s, overuse of the now banned pesticide DDT pushed peregrine falcons to the brink of extinction in North America. Treffry helped breed them. He was hired by the Canadian Wildlife Service as it tried to repopulate the species. There were skeptics.
People said, well, you're not going to be able to breed them in captivity. You know, they're a wild bird. They migrate to the length of the continent. They nest on cliffs.
But slowly but surely, by controlling birth and incubation, Treffry's team began reintroducing peregrine falcons to nature. This little guy is part of one of the last releases into the wild the province will perform.
Maybe he thinks I'm a falcon. I have a pretty large nose.
That might be it.
Here he is on his way to the release site above the Pembina River about an hour west of Edmonton. The province says it'll soon wind down this release program because it's not needed anymore. All a small step toward repairing what human activity has wrought for years.
We are affecting so much of what goes on in the planet today that it's responsible of us to manage the resources, and including wildlife, responsibly, and to make sure we don't lose anything.
It's not just about the environment. Breeding falcons is also a business. They're sold to scare away other birds in problem areas such as landfills or airports.
When a falcon shows up with thousands and thousands of gulls there is quite impressive. They're terrified of falcons, so we use that to our advantage.
This little guy is still more scared than scary. Not quite time for takeoff for him yet, though it's hoped he'll soon join other falcons in flight. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, near Entwistle, Alberta.
Still ahead on The National, we will take you to a community in Newfoundland creating spaces for kids with autism.
We have 30 businesses in town who are autism friendly. And when people walk by and see that sticker in their business, they know they are good-hearted people who are willing to not just take your dollars, but to learn how to better interact with the customers that come into their business.
Even before she set foot in the second-hand kids store, Tara McCauley had heard about the recalls.
Within about 5 minutes of seeing those headlines, I'd already received emails from some of my mommy friends just saying, giving me a heads up.
A heads up that some of the products she's looking at buying her daughter might actually harm her.
It seems to happen with some frequency, and I think product safety is always a concern for parents. Oh, this is Fisher Price.
Katie Johnson is going through the store's entire inventory to see if it's carrying any of the more than 10 million trikes, high chairs, and other toys recalled in North America by toy giant Fisher Price.
The recall was because of these pegs. Kids were falling on them, I guess, and hurting themselves.
Because it's used, Johnson won't bother calling the manufacturer for a repair kit. She just won't sell it. Health Canada is warning about safety hazards with the other products that are part of Fisher Price's voluntary recall.
We have some little people's toy cars with the possibility of wheels coming off that pose choking hazards, as well as some fairly serious laceration hazards that can occur with the use of a tricycle.
There have been more than 75 recalls this year on children's products alone, and the government is hoping that new legislation will compel the industry to report problems sooner, so that Health Canada can investigate instead of relying on companies to issue recalls on their own.
It would afford the government with the ability to order mandatory recalls, which we can't do right now.
This expert says the industry has to do more to prevent problems when they're designing products.
They have to be able to catch some of these issues before they put this into the production.
Analysts say the recalls, as big as they are, likely won't affect Fisher-Price's parent company, Mattel, in any meaningful way. The company's shares dipped less than 2% when the recalls were announced and seemed to be on the rebound by the time markets closed this afternoon. Melissa Fung, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the economy being what it is right now, everybody's trying to cut back. But before you head out tonight, maybe looking for some Christmas bargains, Lucy Lopez is standing by tonight in our 9:05 newsroom with some information about some deals you might want to steer clear of.
It may be really tempting to buy a knockoff toy and some cheap batteries to go with it. But police have a warning tonight for consumers. Don't risk your life for a bargain. These two packages of batteries look identical. Both of them are cheap counterfeits that could have deadly consequences.
Counterfeit batteries are one example of a hazardous product that can leak and even explode. The RCMP is aware of many cases that have been reported to Health Canada, some involving batteries and children's toys.
Experts are warning shoppers to stay away from fake batteries, untested toys, and electronics.
The big problem is when we're dealing with electrical products, if they're substandard, they'll either blow up or they'll burn, and they'll cause a fire.
Problem is, counterfeits are so sophisticated it's hard to spot a real one from a fake. Take these two Bakugan toys. Only one of them is real. Can you tell which one? Always look for a trademark. Counterfeits don't have them. Real toys will always have a company logo and contact information. The fake stuff doesn't. Also check for typos on the price.
He's back.
Fufu.
Yeah, Fufu.
And I was like, who's Fufu?
Still standing.
I mean, look at Joe. He doesn't look like the type to have a chihuahua at home.
Here's the Fufu.
Fufu.
Part of the Tuesday night comedy lineup returns September 18th on CBC.
Tonight on The National, a man in his 20s has been charged after a dramatic high-speed crash in the GTA. Police say the driver of that car now faces a careless driving charge. He was taken to hospital with serious injuries early Sunday morning. The person who posted this video said the car was street racing at the time, but police haven't confirmed that. They are still investigating.
The 60s belong to Makita as he racked up 2 additional scoring championships.
Also tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks and hockey mourning the loss of a legend. Stan Mikita has died at the age of 78. He made his NHL debut in 1959 and spent his entire career with Chicago. He won the Stanley Cup with them in 1961. And last year, he was named one of the top 100 NHL players of all time by the Canadian Press.
Like a seasoned veteran.
What a debut at the Rogers Cup. 17-year-old Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime cruising into the second round after knocking out Lucas Pouille of France in straight sets. To give you a sense of how big an upset this was, heading into the tournament, Pouille was ranked 18th in the world. Auger-Aliassime, 133rd.
Good for him. You know that adage, it takes a village to raise a child? Well, a small community on the southwestern tip of Newfoundland might be the perfect example. Port aux Basques has been voted the most autism-friendly town in Canada by today's Parent magazine. Chris O'Neill-Yates shows us how the people there have come together to ensure their town is accessible and inclusive.
Oh, hello there.
For Isaac Matthews, having autism is no big deal.
There we go.
Diagnosed when he was 3, now at age 11, amazingly, this small town has made him feel that autism is something to be celebrated, something to be so proud of.
I wouldn't just brag at him and say, look at this, I have autism. I'm not going to brag. I'm just going to say, I'm not really going to say anything. I'm just going to let them figure it out.
In this remote corner of Newfoundland, an extraordinary thing has happened. A town of just 4,000 people has opened its hearts and minds to everyone on the autism spectrum. Ready? For Candace Matthews, Isaac's mom, it has been life-changing.
There's a lot of isolation. It comes with the diagnosis of autism. There's a lot of self-doubt and insecurity. So when you have this community that rallies around you, it feels great.
You can't expect a child to just get it.
This mother's hope and her son's total acceptance into the community started with one woman.
The autism brain develops differently, which means...
Retired special education teacher Joan Shashan.
Candace is just phenomenal. She's just a wonderful person to work with. And Isaac is super. You know, he's our little superhero. And Isaac is very, very high functioning. Academically, I mean, he's quite well and everything. It would be his social skills where he would come under for the autism spectrum. You get to learn your child.
It all started as a small support group and quickly grew into so much more.
Joan has been instrumental in helping this town get to where we are right now with being an autism-friendly town. She's been tireless in her efforts, and I think her heart is huge. She's really inspired a lot of people to fully embrace the children on the spectrum.
Suddenly, there was this, a gym specially equipped for kids just like Isaac. They got grants, the town bought in, they fundraised, over $15,000. And here's the thing, now all the kids in town benefit.
We don't do things just so the children with autism can use it. We never do that. We do it so that it's open to the public, that everyone can use it. We don't feel like we're a secluded group of autism, and I think this is why we're getting so much support from the public.
And that's not all.
So glad to see you all. Oh, I'm so excited you're all here.
This is something you don't see every day.
I didn't introduce myself, but you all know I'm Joan, right?
Joan has attracted more than 60 business owners, all here to find out how they can be more autism-friendly.
This is the one that's found at the hotel, because you all know we have a sensory room at the hotel.
The town has had so much buy-in that even the local hotel built something called a sensory room.
And this is it.
That is incredibly calming for kids on the spectrum. And Isaac was asked to help design it.
I just love being in here. If I'm being really stressed or being made fun of or something, it's a good room to use. When I squeeze it, it has a good feeling in it. Everybody should really come here, no matter if they have autism or not.
And what's more,
the pictures are safely secured to the wall.
Port aux Basques hotel owner Kathy Lohman also modified some of the guest rooms.
And we've included a third.
And added training for all staff.
As soon as they come in, they ask the parent, do we need to dim the lights? Is there any special needs they have? If they're wanderers, then the staff will keep an eye out for them. And if they need to use a sensory room, it's the first thing that we offer them.
And now the hotel phone is ringing off the hook.
I had lots of calls from Toronto, a couple of sites in the U.S., just wondering what modifications we did and how they could start the process.
Joan didn't stop there. For many kids on the spectrum, like Christopher Shepherd, eating out can be overwhelming.
You want to sit there?
Simple modifications have made all the difference.
Christopher, what are you going to get to eat? I'm going to get a Kit Kat pizza and...
They can look at the menu at Pizza Light and pick out what they want. Their kids' menu with all pictures.
Hi, have you decided? I'm gonna get a Kit Kat pizza.
The children have learned to look at their menu and ask themselves. So the parents don't say what they want. They have to ask themselves. And the staff will wait until the child asks.
You order in now and get your drinks, okay? You're welcome.
Or he can come in and he knows he can point to that and get a kitty cat pizza. This is what he's like. Calm, cool, collected, like not a care in the world.
And to help families spot these autism-friendly businesses, all they have to do is look for this.
We have 30 businesses in town who are autism-friendly. And when people walk by and see that sticker in their business, they know they are good-hearted people who are willing to not just take your dollars, but to learn how to better interact with the customers that come into their business.
Then there's the one-on-one swimming lessons, a town program that for kids with autism can mean life or death.
Drowning is one of the highest reasons why children with autism die. And of course, we see where we live, we're surrounded by water.
Parents even get a financial break.
They decided to give us a discount on this one-on-one lessons. Whereas in most places, if you're going to get specialized treatment, you have to pay more. There are no certificates, nothing written down as such. So the children, to them, they're just going and enjoying. But we know where we want them to go.
And Isaac sure has gotten there.
Now he's on the swim team. Once it started, he progressed so quickly through it that now it's one of his favorite things to do, and he can participate in swimming, programs with peers, with his typical peers.
I got that trophy over there. I got medal. It's just, I love swimming.
In partnership with the school, we're buying this apparatus.
Joan is nowhere near done. She's not finished her work of transforming her town. Her latest mission? Make the school's playground autism-friendly.
I have lots of negative days. I have lots of times that parents are mad at me. It's not all pleasurable. Far from it. And sometimes, I have wondered, why do I do this? I'll be quite honest about it. The children keep me going. The children are just so happy when they're successful. I am so proud to be in this town.
Sometimes in other places, you could get bullied, you could get made fun of, get called names. In Port Bass, right here, it's not like that. Wherever you go, you see friends. Push, 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 push.
Not only is Isaac proud to be in this town, but this town has made him proud of himself. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, Port Basque, Newfoundland.
And as autism awareness grows, we're seeing a lot of other examples of businesses adapting their programs and services. Like haircuts. Wyatt Lafreniere has autism and is sensitive to having his hair touched. Enter Quebec barber Franz Jacob. Last fall, this photo of Jacob and his young client went viral. Wyatt's mom says usually hairdressers panic, but not Jacob. He locks the front door, keeps the place quiet, and takes his time, often following Lafreniere around the salon with his tools until the job is done.
Normally we wouldn't attempt a mall for the sounds and all the sensory experiences.
Over the holidays, children with autism got a special opportunity to meet Santa at an Edmonton mall. Their parents were able to book a visit in advance to avoid long lines. And old St. Nick knew to keep things calm and quiet. And just last month, a major supermarket chain in the UK introduced a weekly quieter hour for shoppers with autism. The lights are dimmed, the music turned off, beeping checkout machines turned down, and the movement of carts kept to a minimum. We have more pictures and information about the town of Port Basque on our Instagram feed. Please, you can follow us at CBC The National.
That is St. John's City Hall earlier tonight, as you can see, lit up a vibrant yellow as part of a tribute to a Newfoundland hero who won love and respect across her province and really the rest of Canada. That hero, a 9-year-old girl with the heart of a lion. Nevaeh Denine had neuroblastoma, a rare form of cancer that sadly took her life on Monday. But it's what she did with her short life that made her so beloved. It's hard to imagine a 3-year-old even fully comprehending a cancer diagnosis, let alone facing it with courage, grace, even joy. But Nevaeh Denine was no ordinary child. When she learned how sick she was back in 2013, she poured her energy into helping other kids with cancer. Nevaeh's lemonade stand started off small.
Lots of people.
But with help from her family, it became a fundraising institution in St. John's and a social event attended by thousands of people. She would go on to raise tens of thousands of dollars for pediatric cancer research, earning love and respect across the province. Her infectious energy lit up the lives of everyone she met over the years. But after defying the neuroblastoma for as long as she could, Nevaeh died on Monday, less than 2 weeks after her 9th birthday. Tributes poured in online from the Premier, the Mayor of St. John's, and this especially moving note from the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. 9-year-old Nevaeh Denine did so much for so many. She was incredible, selfless, and brave to think of others while dealing with so much herself. She was a young hero for the generosity. Life gave her lemons, and she made lemonade for everyone.
Your favorite moment at Massey Hall, what would that be?
I think it was when I went to see Dave Brubeck, and second, next on the list would be Lucio Pavarotti at Massey Hall. Wow. Well, the times that I went to see the Mendelssohn Choir and went down to see the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, those are the times that I really do remember best.
But are you serious? I mean, you're the guy who, you know, you're the Hall of Fame performer from Massey Hall, and your favorite moments are other people's concerts that you saw?
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing people there, and I always went back there, and every moment at Massey Hall is a favorite moment.
That balcony is where I sat to see the Cream back in 1969. What was really funny is they didn't bring a PA system. So Jack Bruce and Eric Clapton were singing through the house PA.
Wow.
And they didn't have their amps or drums mic'd at all. So they just had 2 Marshall stacks and the big drum kit here, and they were amazing. But their voices were very distorted coming through those little, I thought that was odd. Even, you know, at that age, I thought, that's weird coming through that system. But that was my favorite band, and that was an incredibly life-changing concert for me. So yeah, first balcony, stage left.
Yeah. I saw Kim Mitchell Band here.
Yep.
A Kimbo Logo tour.
Me too.
That was amazing.
Yeah, the first time I walked into Massey Hall was to see the Scarborough School Symphony play, and I must have been maybe in grade 6. And I remember I was on the very top 3rd balcony up there and watching this timpani player play and just freak out like Animal and the Muppets, and I just wanted to be like him.
I saw Jane Sibrey here, trio concert with Ken Meyer and Teddy Borwecki. Yeah. One of the greatest shows I've ever seen anywhere, and I sat right there. All of my favorite concerts were in this room. You know, I've been to amazing shows all over the world, but all of my favorite shows were in this room.
So here's a big promise. Haley Dawson has pledged to throw the first pitch for every Major League Baseball team, and she's doing that with the help of her 3D printed prosthetic hand. Tonight, it was Toronto's turn. Now, this is all part of an effort to raise awareness for something called Poland syndrome. So we caught up with Haley on the field, and that is our moment of the day.
Go Blue Jays. My mom came up with the idea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you think when she told you?
I said, yes!
Last year she met Bryce Harper, and she asked him if she could throw one out for the Nationals. After that one, she kept asking, where am I going to go next? Who am I pitching for next? And I said, do you want to do all 30?
8-year-old Haley Dawson threw out the ceremonial first pitch.
This is number 25.
We want to raise awareness for Poland syndrome, what she was born with, and also about the robotic hand, and that if you need it, it's pretty easy to get one. She loves meeting players. She loves meeting the mascots, and she has all these robotic hands now that have all these autographs.
Feel amazing.
So it occurs to me we've had all these like amazing kids on the show just coincidentally tonight. But Haley is 8 and she gets a new hand for every game, and she's going to break a Guinness Book World Record doing this, tossing out these pitches. So.
And, you know, this is amazing because prosthetic hands are really expensive. You know, anywhere in the U.S., anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000. Kids need them every 2 years as they grow. But the 3D printed hands have changed everything, especially in developing countries. It's an amazing piece of tech.
Wow.
Wow.
So our moment of the day is this incredible feat that Haley's involved in. Our mini moment of the day is we're all back. Welcome back from vacation.
Well, we let Andrew go, but he'll come back eventually.
He'll be here next week. It's great seeing you guys again, and we'll do it, I think, tomorrow night.
That's the plan.
That is the National for August 7th. Good night.
Good night.